So good day ma'am, good day B is E4C. So our topic for today is all about Judaism. So let's start with a short introduction about Judaism. So when we say Judaism, it is a religion of the Hebrew people wherein naniniwala sila sa isang Diyos who is si God na, nag-reveal ng sarili niya kina Abraham, Moses at sa iba pang Hebrew prophets. So Judaism is called the oldest religion for about 4,000 years ago, and yung mga followers ng Judaism is tinatawag silang mga Jew or Jews. So, what we're going to discuss is about Abraham, Moses, kings, and prophets. So, let's start with Abraham. So, who is Abraham? So, Abraham is called the father of all nations and the father of the faithful. Why? So Abraham is famous or pinaka-common na siya dahil sa lalim ng paniniwala or the depth of his faithfulness to God, wherein all the commands of God was followed by Abraham. Even he sacrificed his own son, Isaac. So si Abraham is sa kanya ibinigay or ipinangako ni God yung tinatawag na promised land na titirhan ng kanyang lahi. So kilala siya bilang obedient, generous, and how or the way he loved God. So let's start. The Hebrew Bible begins with the story of God's creation of the universe. The story emphasizes on God as the only creator, the goodness of his creation, and the special place and kinship given by God to humanity. Created in his image and likeness, the first book of the Torah, Genesis, also tells of the story of mankind in the form of Adam and Eve, believed to be the first humans created by God. The next chapters of the book of Genesis also portray their expulsion from paradise, the Garden of Eden, after disobeying the commands of their Creator. So, the first chapter in the Bible is, of course, Genesis, and doon makikita ninyo is yung the story of God's creation of the universe. So, God created the universe within 7 days. So, on the first day, God created the light and the darkness, which is the representation of the day and night. On the second day, God created the sky or the langit. So, on the third day, God created the land, the seas, and the trees. On the fourth day, God created the sun, moon, and stars, which serve as the light on the universe. So on the fifth day, God started to create different creatures in oceans and in the air. So on the sixth day, God started to create creatures on land, including humans, which he created in his image and likeness. On the seventh day is called the Holy Sabbath Day because God takes the seventh day as his rest. So, in this chapter also, mababasa natin yung story ni Adam and Eve, which is called the first woman and man na tumira sa earth or in sa universe. Specifically, tumira sila sa Garden of Eden and hanggang sa natukso sila and nagkaroon sila ng punishment, which is napalaya sila doon sa Garden of Eden. So, Genesis also tells the story of the historic Great Flood. So, dito na pumapasok yung Noah's Ark. So, si Noah, siya yung inutusan ni God na parang warn the people about the incoming disaster, which is flood. And inutusan siya ni God na gumawa ng isang ship or ng isang ark wherein isasama niya doon yung kanyang family and different kinds of animals, specifically isang male and isang female. So, the flood takes 1,000 years bago siya humupa, and after humupa ng baha, si God, sinabi niya kay Noah na they have to multiply, kailangan nilang magpakarami, and at the same time is kailangan nilang mahalin and alagaan yung mga creatures ni God. So, God made a covenant with humanity that He will not destroy the earth again with flood. So, the succeeding stories in Genesis focus on God's relationship with the one nation which God chose to have a significant role in history. God made a special covenant with Abraham and his generation. So, si God is gumawa siya ng isang covenant. So, pag sinabi natin covenant kasi is isa siyang kasunduan or isa siyang promise. Wherein, ang promise niya dito is the offspring of Abraham will be a great nation. So, in this chapter also, Abraham and his wife, Sarah, traveled from Mesopotamia, wherein ang tawag na sa kanya ngayon is Iraq, and to the land that was to become Israel, o yung tinatawag na Promised Land. So, God's covenant is renewed in each generation, starting from Abraham's son, Isaac, then to Isaac's son, Jacob, whose name, he who wrestles with God. So, pag sinabi natin, he who wrestles with God, so, si Jacob, which is son ni Isaac, na anak ni Abraham, is parang lagi niyang ina-ask kay God yung mga kagustuhan niya. So, si Jacob is nagkaroon siya ng 12 sons, and yung 12 sons niya is sinasabi na mamumuno sa 12 tribes ng Israel. Wherein doon makikilala si Joseph na anak ni Jacob kay Rachel, na parang ibinenta ng kanyang mga kapatid sa Egypt, na naging slave, and later on is naging chief officer ng Paraon. So, let's proceed to Moses. So, Moses is considered as the most important prophet in Hebrews and Christianity. Why? So, kilala siya as the leader na namuno sa mga Israelites na naging slave ng Egypt para dalhin sila doon sa Promised Land. And also, si Moses is pinanganak siya nung inutos ng Paraon na yung mga batang lalaki is kailangang lunurin. So, the book of Exodus, the second in the Torah, focuses on the journey of Moses who lead the Israelites, the descendants of Abraham, out of Egypt. So, sabi ko nga kanina, so si Moses is siya yung mga namuno sa mga Israelites na naging slaves sa Egypt papunta ng Promised Land. So, through Moses, the Hebrews escaped Egypt in the significant parting of the Red Sea. So, sa pamamagitan ni Moses, yung mga Hebrews or yung mga Israelites is nakatakas sila sa Egypt. Wherein, doon na natin makikita yung pinaka-famous na ginawa niya, which is yung hinati niya yung Red Sea para makadaan yung mga Hebrews. So, the Exodus from slavery signaled a long journey to the Promised Land. In the mountain called Sinai, God gave Moses the 10 commandments and other laws. So, dito, nagkaroon sila ng mahabang journey, and napunta sila doon sa Mountain of Sinai, wherein si God binigay niya yung 10 commandments and iba pang mga laws, which will serve as their foundation doon sa kanilang covenant or yung kasunduan between God and His people. So, as long as fina-follow ng mga Hebrews or ng mga Israelites yung 10 commandments and yung mga laws na binigay ni God kay Moses, is patuloy din niya silang poprotektahan. So, the rest of the Torah narrates experience of the Israelites after their encounter with God in Sinai. Most of the Hebrew journey in the Torah consists of wandering in the wilderness on their way to the Promised Land. So, nagkaroon nga sila ng mahabang paglalakbay. So, after dun sa Mountain of Sinai is naka-encounter pa sila ng iba't ibang challenges during their way to the Promised Land. So, pero, as long as pina-follow nila yung 10 commandments and yung mga laws ni God, is protected sila. So, the people carried with them in their journey the Ark of the Covenant, wherein the 10 commandments which were given in tablets. So, di ba, yun yung nakalagay sa sinasabi nilang dalawang malaking tipak ng bato. So, tinatawag nila yon na symbol of God. So, in honor of the covenant, God continued to supply His people needs despite their constant grumbling and infidelity. So, in honor of the covenant or yung kasunduan nila, si God is continue pa din yung pagprotekta niya at pagsuporta niya doon sa mga Hebrews despite na nagiging nagkakaroon na sila ng grumbling or yung nagiging infidelity na sila or nagkakaroon na sila ng kataksilan. So, no matter how difficult the Hebrews lived by the belief that if they follow God's covenant, so naniniwala pa rin sila na if they follow God's covenant, they will have kumbaga na magkakaroon sila ng isang land na sagana. So let's proceed to the kings and the prophets. So here after 40 years of wandering through the desert, so narating na nila yung promised land, and which is yung tinatawag na Israel. So si King David is yung kauna-unahang naging king ng Israel, and yung pangalawa naman is yung kanyang anak na si Jonathan. And so, si King David is pinili siya ni God kasi naniniwala si God na meron siyang mabuting puso, and si King David is naniniwala si God sa kanya na magiging mabuting ruler siya ng Israel. So, unfortunately, si King David and si King Jonathan, which is tinatawag na son of a great leader, is namatay sa isang war. And the Israelites were ruled, and next is the Israelites were ruled by the wise King David. So si King David is yung third king na namuno sa Israel, wherein si King David is kumbaga kilala siya sa kanyang mga word of wisdom, and nangako si God sa kanya na kahit anong mangyari is hindi siya pababayaan. So, nung namatay si King David because of natural sickness, pumalit naman sa kanya is si King Solomon, which is yung anak niya na kilala sa kanyang wisdom. So King Solomon is famous siya doon sa story ng dalawang babae na parang nag-aagawan sila doon sa isang infant na sinasabi nila or pinoproclaim nila pareho na anak nila. So, more than history, the story told by the early prophets indicated how Israel flourished when they remained faithful to God. So, when they remain faithful to God is parang, when we say flourish kasi, ito yung tinatawag nilang yumabong or kumbaga successful, umunlad sila, but turned catastrophic when they were infidel. So nung nagkaroon na ng kumbaga pagtataksil kay God is naging catastrophe na. Kumbaga hindi na siya successful. Nagkaroon na siya ng paghihirap. So dahil doon yung mga Jewish people is nag-uumpisa na silang i-question si God. And kumbaga nagkakaroon na sila ng expectation sa pagkakaroon ng bagong future king na tinawag nilang Messiah or yung tagapagligtas or Savior. So, contrary to the modern interpretation of a prophet as a foreteller of the fortune, the prophet, so, dito is si God, nagpadala siya ng mga prophets to test the Israelites if they are still faithful to the covenant and to the God, and nire-remind nila yung mga Israelites about the consequences sa hindi nila pagsunod doon sa covenant or sa kasunduan. So, the latter prophets composed of 3 major prophets. So, ang mga tatlo sa major na pinadala niya is sila Isaiah, Jeremiah, and si Ezekiel. So, si Isaiah is kumbaga napipredict niya yung pagdating ng Mesiya. Si Jeremiah naman is, kumbaga ang mission niya is i-point out yung good and evil or yung kabutihan at ang kasamaan. So, si Ezekiel naman dyan is isa siyang pare wherein na-record niya lahat ng visions ng revelations ni revelation na natanggap nila from God. So, meron din siyang 12 minor prophets, si Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadjah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Sicariah, and Malachi. So, lahat ng mga prophetic books, lahat ng mga propeta is nagfo-focus sila kung gaano ka-importante yung on how important you will follow God's covenant and laws. So, and yung magiging consequences once na dinisobey mo yung mga utos or yung kasunduan mo kay God. So, additionally, so the prophets also stress how God does not easily give up on His people. So, dito, sinasabi nila, or na hindi ganon basta-basta na-give up si God sa kanyang mga followers, sa kanyang mga tao. And after the prophets look forward to a new age, after the final judgment when all people will be returned and all nations will live together in peace and unity. So, the prophet is looking forward to a better world, wherein all nations will live together and peace and unity is there. So, that's all for my report. Thank you for listening.